Is this Sweden's most haunted house? Many who have set foot here swear that it is. This is a house built on an execution site, a home where children have died a slow, painful death in the attic, and a place where priests, men of God, have fled in pure terror. Welcome to Frammegården, the house where the dead are heard more than the living. So turn off the lights, lock the door, and crawl under the covers, because you are watching Bedtime Chillers. There are places in Sweden where the map ends, but history continues. If you travel to Värmland and head west until the roads get narrower and the forests darker, you eventually reach Skillingmark. We are in the borderlands. Here, in the vast Finnskogen forests, the border between Sweden and Norway has always been more than just a line on a map. It has been a zone for smugglers, for refugees, and for those wanting to hide. But there is a hill in this region that you cannot hide from: Frammegården. At first glance, it is beautiful. A red timber house from the 1700s, a classic Swedish idyll. But appearances can be deceiving. This isn't just a homestead museum where you stop for coffee and look at old farm tools. This house is considered by many to be one of the most haunted places in all of Scandinavia. It is a place where visitors don't just see things, they feel them. A weight on the chest, a sudden icy chill in the middle of summer, a feeling that the air you breathe in has already been breathed by someone else. To understand why Frammegården is so feared, we must peel back the layers. We have to look at the ground it stands on, the walls that enclose it, and the tragedies that unfolded inside. Because at Frammegården, the past is not dead. It hasn't even passed. Before the first log was laid, before the house was even a blueprint, this place was already marked. The locals speak of the hill with a special kind of respect, or perhaps fear. The legend, whispered from generation to generation in Skillingmark, says that the ground beneath the house is an old execution site. We must go back to the 1600s, a time when Sweden was gripped by mass hysteria, the witch trials. Here in the borderlands, belief in the supernatural was strong. People believed the forests were full of entities and that certain women were in league with the devil. History tells us that women judged for witchcraft were brought here to this very hill. The sentence was brutal: beheading, followed by burning at the stake. Imagine the scene: the screams, the fire, the smell of burning flesh, and the fear that saturated the air. Even though we lack the exact court records pointing to this specific spot on the map, the experiences speak clearly. Many mediums and sensitive people who visit the farm react strongly just entering the courtyard. They describe an energy that doesn't come from the house, but from below. A primal, dark aggression. The theory is that the earth has been impregnated by the victim's last minutes of pure terror. That the blood and ash mixed with the soil created a wound in nature that never healed. The house is, literally, built on a foundation of death anxiety. When you step over the high threshold, you leave the 21st century behind. The interior of Frammegården is unique. That is because of one woman, Kerstin Eriksson. She was the last private owner. She was born here, she lived her whole life here, and in the 1940s, she died here. When she bequeathed the farm to the local heritage society, it was as if time froze. No modern renovations have been done. No one has ripped out the old floors or painted over the soot on the ceiling. This is the key to the atmosphere. According to the stone tape theory in parapsychology, materials like wood, stone, and water can act like a battery. They store emotional energy. And since Frammegården has never been renovated, no one has erased the tape. The walls remember everything. The harsh winters of the 1800s, the diseases, the sorrow. But it's not just memories, it is Kirsten herself. Kirsten isn't described as a demon or a monster. She is a residual spirit, a guardian. She guards her home with the same iron fist now as she did when she was alive. Visitors who stay overnight often tell the same story. They hear the sound of shuffling slippers, someone doing a round of the house to make sure everything is in order. There are countless stories of people moving a chair or a candlestick only to find it put back a moment later, or the feeling of a stern glare on the back of your neck if you talk too loud or behave badly. She is the mistress of the house, and she tolerates no intruders who show disrespect. Her presence is strongest in the room called the corpse room, Likrummet. This was where they laid the dead on Lit de Parade before the funeral. This is where Kirsten herself took her last breath. The bed remains, and many say she never really got out of it. But if Kirsten is the order, the attic is the chaos and the sorrow. It is up here, under the dark, sloping roof, that Frammegården's darkest chapter is found. The story of the children. The legend is one of the most terrible you can hear. The reality, which we can read in the church records, is no less frightening. Research shows that in 1865, 2 children died on the farm. Kirsten, 4 years old, and Niels, 2 years old. The cause of death was not starvation, but diphtheria. To us today, diphtheria is just a word. In the 19th century, it was a death sentence. They called it the strangling sickness. The bacteria creates a thick gray coating in the throat that grows until it blocks the airways. Death is slow and painful. The children suffocate, bit by bit. This is where legend and reality meet. To avoid infecting the rest of the family, sick children were often isolated. It is very likely that Niels and Kirsten were locked in a room, perhaps right here in the attic, in quarantine. Imagine the terror in that room. 2 small children alone in the dark, with throats swelling shut, gasping for air, crying but getting no answer. They didn't die from evil, but from disease, yet the result is the same. A horrific, drawn-out death struggle in total isolation. And this is what visitors hear today. It's not ghosts saying boo. It is the sound of suffering. Visitors report crying children coming from nowhere. The sound of small feet running across the floorboards in the attic. And the attic door. It is known to open by itself, or sometimes be impossible to open, as if someone is holding it shut from the inside. Some have even felt small cold, children's hands tentatively grabbing their clothes in the dark. One can easily dismiss ghost stories as fantasies, tricks of the mind created by darkness and old legends. But what makes Frammegården so hard to explain away is the consistency. For decades, people have visited this farm. People who don't know each other, who have never met, and who don't know the history. Yet, they describe exactly the same things. It's not just thrill-seeking teenagers, it is skeptics, journalists, and the Heritage Society's own staff who reluctantly admit they don't want to be alone in the house. When an adult, rational human being runs out of a house in the middle of the night and refuses to go back in, then it's not just the wind blowing. The phenomena here are concrete. The most famous is the 3 knocks. 3 distinct strikes in the wall. In folklore, 3 knocks are an omen of death. In demonology, it is seen as a mockery of the Holy Trinity. At Frammegården, it's almost everyday life. And in modern times, as technology has entered the picture, the mystery has deepened. Countless investigations have been done here. Audio recordings, so-called EVPs, have captured voices answering questions. Norwegian teams, Swedish YouTubers, they all get the same results. Batteries dying immediately in the corpse room. Cameras shutting off, and voices whispering names out of thin air. Technology doesn't lie. It has no imagination, and it is reacting to something in this house. So, what is really going on in Skillingmark? Is Frammegården a portal to the other side? Or is it a monument to human suffering? Maybe it doesn't matter if the children starved or died of disease. Maybe it doesn't matter if witches were burned on this exact hill or the one next to it. The energy is real. The fear, the sorrow, and the death have etched themselves into the timber. Frammegården is not an empty house. It is full of those who lived, loved, suffered, and died here. They haven't left the place. And when you visit Frammegården, when you stand there in the dark, listening to the silence, the question isn't if you believe in ghosts. The question is if the ghosts believe in you, and if they plan to let you leave alone. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel and get even better ghost stories in the future, make sure to follow, like the video, and leave a comment with tips on more haunted places around the world.